Hey y'all, good morning. Thank you for clicking on this video. Um, it's gonna be another raw kind of video, unedited. I really like doing them. They're pretty easy to record and I don't gotta edit them. I can just upload it here. And it's gonna be a little bit of a rant, I'm not gonna lie. It's I think I'm just gonna tell myself what I need to hear right now. And hopefully there's something that I discuss that maybe lands with you or helps you out a little bit, just like it's helping me. So for the longest time, I know I touched upon this in the last video, but I think it's finally really starting to hit me how wrong I had this idea of self-improvement. For these past 2 years, I was on self-improvement and I viewed it as self-worship. I viewed it as wanting to become superior to those around me. I wanted to look better. I wanted to be smarter. I wanted to make more money. I just wanted to be a level above everyone else. And that was just flat out self-worship. It didn't help me connect. It didn't help me become a better person. What I did was I just worked on this outer shell, this shell that you see here, but inside, internally, I was empty. And it wasn't until I stopped distracting myself. It wasn't until I stopped constantly trying to fill the noise, not neglecting silence anymore, that I finally got to start to see how I felt deep down, how I felt within me, my level of fulfillment. And so what I did is I deleted social media because that was the number one thing that was distracting me. I deleted social media because I would constantly, out of habit, out of just being bored, just go and start scrolling. And in doing that, doing that every once in a while, it's not gonna cause you any harm, but if you cannot sit with yourself for more than 5 minutes without looking for something to entertain you or scroll or stimulate your mind, there's no way you can look deep within yourself and figure out all your deepest truths and look at your shadow self and see how your actions affect other people, because you can't even sit with yourself. And so that's what I did. That's the number one thing I did, is delete social media. And with that silence, it forces you to face your own thoughts. A lot of the times we're so focused on things outside of us that when it comes to us ourselves, thinking about how we feel, there's so many negative beliefs that we have that do not serve us. But we're just so distracted that we don't give it the proper time and we don't work on it because it's difficult, or because I have things to do, or because I need to meet this specific deadline, or whatever it may be. It's just constantly always needing noise is the reason that we make these decisions, or that these bad decisions, these bad beliefs rather, are orchestrating our decisions. People-pleasing tendencies, selfishness, pride, ego, all these things that we think we're in control, when in reality, those are what's causing our decisions behind the scenes. And so, in a way, I spent so much time trying to avoid my own thoughts. So much time. I worked on this outer shell so much, just so that I can avoid how I feel deep within myself. And it's crazy because physically you age, physically you look older, physically you can look better or worse. Every day you become better or worse depending on how you structure your day and your daily habits. But mentally you could be the same age. You could be stuck in the same patterns from 20 to 40. And you won't notice until you just sit with yourself and really start asking, what are my beliefs? It sounds so basic and it sounds so obvious, but it really is the truth. It really is the truth. We need to stop running away from our own thoughts. And we cannot heal while constantly distracting ourselves. Everyone has a trauma. Everyone has something that they went through, or that really bugged them, or that they feel like, hey, I have this issue now. But the way to get over it, not even the way to get over it, that's not the right word. You don't get over something. The way to process it and integrate it into your life is by not distracting yourself and sitting with it, sitting with those tough feelings. I promise you, it's really hard, especially at night, especially when you're alone, especially when you got no one there checking in on you. But those are the moments when you check in on yourself. Those are the moments when you check how you feel, when you can become your own savior. Apart from God, obviously, but I'm talking, you can't help anybody before you help yourself. God helps those that help themselves. And you gotta be able to realize that no one's coming to save you. No one is gonna come and solve your issues. No one is gonna come and fix your problems. You can view it as sad or you can view it as liberating. Sad in the way that no one really is coming to save me. I don't have anybody who can be my knight in shining armor. But liberating in a way that you can be your knight in shining armor. You can save yourself. You can pick yourself up out of that well, out of that hole, and start walking. Baby steps are steps, no matter how big or small. And so, I finally stopped running away from my thoughts. Finally. And you know what I've realized in these past couple months? I've realized I have so much bad habits. So many bad beliefs that don't serve me. And those bad beliefs made me not pour into relationships that I should have poured into. Made me not be more conscious about how my people-pleasing tendencies or how I was being selfish with others. All those bad beliefs were orchestrating my decisions behind the scenes. But because I never wanted to sit with them, I thought they were my decisions, my conscious decisions. I hope that makes sense, and I hope you understand what I'm trying to say, but stop distracting yourself. I kept distracting myself. I've distracted myself for all my life. And this is the first time, the first period in my life, extended period of time where I'm no longer afraid of silence. And you realize so much change in such a short amount of time, because all you do is just think about your inner self. And so the next step, and something that I struggled with, was after holding all that accountability, after facing and realizing, oh my goodness, I've had these bad beliefs for years, and these bad beliefs have affected every close relationship that I have, and even destroyed some of the most important relationships of my life. And the thing for me was, how do I grow in accountability without also growing in self-hatred? How do I look at myself in the mirror after the ways I've affected others and not feel like you're a bad person? Not feel like, hey, something is wrong with me, right? Not in a way of I need to get better, in a way of like I'm doomed. Something is wrong with me. Because what I've seen is most growth content, most videos I've seen regarding accountability is either about blaming others or destroying yourself, as like completely re-identifying and recreating someone that you are. And I don't think either of those are the answer. I don't think either of those are the answer. I'm not gonna lie, it is difficult to not look at yourself when you finally have that awareness and think, oh my goodness, I'm doomed. That's just us being human. It's not really the truth. Every day we evolve. And you can't blame yourself for the awareness that you have now. You can't blame yourself for what you know now that you didn't know then. It sounds obvious, it's annoying. I wish I had that awareness back then, because I feel like my life, I can say I have a good life, I'm blessed, but my life would be exponentially better if I had that awareness. But that's life. That's how we learn. And it's better that you're learning that lesson now, realizing that you have that awareness now, instead of just constantly being in this cycle of God will give you the same lesson until you learn it. God will give you the same lesson until you learn it. And so it's better to learn the actual lesson. It's better to learn what you're going through and learn, okay, you know what? I've affected people. I haven't been the best communicator. I've been a people pleaser. I've been selfish. I should have poured into relationships when I had the chance. What am I going to do about it? Instead of thinking I'm doomed, look at it through a growth mindset and think, okay, how can I learn to communicate better? Clearly, love isn't enough in any relationship, so what else do I need to integrate? It's taking responsibility without turning yourself into a villain, because we're not villains, we're human. We're human. That's been so grounding for me, calling myself a human. We hold ourselves to such high standards, and we hold ourselves to this idea of perfection that doesn't exist. And the moment when we realize when we fail and our human side or us being human comes out, we want to hold ourselves to this, no, we're no good, I'm a villain, I can't be who I say I am. But that's not how it works. It's simply not how it works. So by understanding your own flaws, that's when you start to make real change. And for a while, I thought change was proving to others that you're a good person. That, no, I messed up, let me compensate and let me prove to others how much of a good person I am. But I realized that was more for me. Proving you're a good person is more for yourself than for those around you. If you need to prove to others that you're a good person, clearly your ego is trying to stroke and trying to please or preserve the image that you have of yourself. Because it's not about you. Being a good person is not about you. Real change doesn't start by trying to prove you're a good person. It starts by genuinely asking where you failed others. And being committed to learning and being committed to never making those mistakes again. Because once you learn where you failed others, you have that awareness on what not to do next time. And sure, it's human. It's human. You're gonna want to prove that you changed. You're gonna want to prove to others that you're a better person, but that's more for yourself. That's more to preserve your image. It's for your ego. You want to show that you're a good person? Don't fail others, or don't fail others as frequently, because we're human, right? We're not perfect. Don't fail others as frequently as you failed them before. It's that simple. It's that simple. And so once you have that awareness of how can I change, I've understand all these flaws. I don't want to view myself as a villain, but I know that something needs to change. That's when you start implementing discipline. Discipline. And speaking of discipline, I've been reading this book, Disciplines of a Godly Man. And I wish I read this book a year ago when I bought it. It has been sitting on this bookshelf, and I had been reading other books, worldly books talking about success, self-improvement, business. And this book, I wish I had read it, because this talks about the inner work. It doesn't talk about your show. It doesn't talk about all this that you see. It talks about the inner work, which is the most important. And it basically talks about, in order to become a better person, you need to implement discipline, but from a place of love, from a place of, I want to get better, I want to improve, I want to be a light in this world. You gotta want to be a light. The only way to remove darkness is by being a light. And if you look at it from a view of self-hatred, discipline from self-hatred is, I should be this because I want to be the best. I should be a good person because I need people to see that I care about them. It's you focused. It's you focused. But discipline out of self-love is other people focused. I can go into a whole video on just that one topic alone, but there's a lot of little topics that I want to discuss. And so discipline is the way that you change. Discipline is the way that you truly make change. And you start realizing, you start asking, and you start absorbing where you genuinely failed people. Every day is a step closer. Every day is one step closer to who you want to be. Every day. Every day you can either go forward or backward. It's that simple. And it doesn't matter if the step is an inch, it's still a step forward. I think nowadays we're so impatient. We're so impatient. We want things now. We want things today, at this second. But the way I like to see it is, think of it like me, think of it that you're like a statue. You are a marble statue. And every day when you have disciplined habits, when you're not distracting yourself, when you're actually making internal change, not just on your shell, but in here, in your soul, in your heart, in your mind, think of it as like you're chipping away. You're chipping away at the rock. You're chipping away at the rock. You don't do that in a day. You don't do that in a year. It probably takes you a lot of years, and even then, there's still little details that you could be chipping at. You are a statue. You are a beautiful work of art. And it sucks because we're constantly so distracted. We're constantly in our heads that we don't realize that we are a work of art. We are an artist and an art at the same time. And we are constantly sculpting ourselves. And depending on what you consume, depending on what you decide to do, it shapes your statue. It's a little weird example, right? But that's the way I've seen it. And lastly, or almost lastly, I've been romanticizing pain. Having all this awareness of all the mistakes and the things I wish I should have done with all the relationships that I've had, I have been romanticizing pain. I have been trapped in this form of nostalgia, and it just keeps me on this leash. Because heartbreak will either mature you or trap you in nostalgia, and it has been trapping me. And it's addicting. It feels good. It's weird. It's painful, but it feels good. I think it's because your mind tells you that that's where you belong. You need to somehow pay back for whatever you've done. But that's not how it works. That's self-inflicting. That's you're literally causing pain, torture to yourself because you feel like you need to make up for something. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. That's your ego, again, telling you what you should do. At some point, you gotta stop asking why someone left and ask yourself who you're gonna be because of it. And depending on where you're at, depending on your mind state, if you've only worked on your shell, if you committed to working on your inner soul, heart, mind, you can either be someone who says, I need someone to love me. Go look for somebody. Go find someone who will give you cheap attention. Go find someone who will just fill the void. Or, and here's the harder path, you could decide to be someone who's capable of loving deeply. You can choose, let me say that again. You can choose yourself. I need someone to love me. I need someone to care for me. I need someone to look out for me. Or you can become capable of someone. You can become someone capable of loving deeply. I want to be someone who listens. I want to be someone who genuinely cares for the person. I want to be someone who is a great communicator. I want to be someone who's considerate. I want to be someone who's selfless. Thinking about others, thinking about other people. One thinks about yourself, which will just keep you trapped and will constantly just try to fill that void. And another thinks about others. And so with all this, I want to become someone capable of loving correctly. It's weird and it's ironic. All my life, I've practiced and I've been, a majority of my life, in my young adult life, I've practiced and I've been disciplined with every aspect. The gym, I like to read, I like to write, I own my own business. However, probably the most important aspects of my life, which was becoming closer with God and becoming closer to those around me, loving those around me and pouring into the relationships that I had, I never worked on it. I just thought it was something that happened. And how ironic that the two most important aspects of my life, and I think in everyone's life, that is my opinion, I didn't work on them, but everything else that was worldly and tied to success and image and brand and rep, I was so obsessed over it. I was so obsessed over it. That's a big regret is a strong word, but I think it merits regret. And so now, all you can do, once you have this awareness, all you can be is just decide to be someone better. What will the future version of you look like? When you stop distracting yourself, when you start holding yourself accountable, when you really implement discipline, when you stop romanticizing pain, and you choose to become capable, and you choose to become someone capable of loving deeply, what will that future version of you look like? If you really think about it and imagine, and you think about all these topics, and really picturing yourself doing the work, where will you be? I guarantee you you'll be happier, healthier, more fulfilled, more calm, more at peace. Notice how I didn't mention anything about money. Notice how I didn't mention anything about status. Notice how I didn't mention anything about reputation or image. This is the real work. This is what's gonna cause real internal change. This is what's gonna make you and me feel fulfilled and feel happy. I've been going through a lot. I hate silence. I hate silence, and I've only been surrounded by silence. Especially with not having social media, it just amplifies that silence even more. But it's necessary. It's necessary because looking at myself, realizing how I was so focused on self-worship these past 2 years, how I didn't realize I wasn't pouring into my relationships like I should have been. I didn't realize all these negative beliefs that I had about myself, that I thought I was in control, but those negative beliefs were orchestrating mostly every decision that I was making. And I've been romanticizing it. I've been romanticizing the pain. I feel like I need to compensate for how I've treated others, but that's not how it works. It's really hard to build self-compassion. It's really hard to build self-compassion and self-love when you've looked at yourself through a lens of self-hatred and perfection, and that you constantly always need to reach a standard. But that's not real. That doesn't exist. Those are learned behaviors. And then you can even go deeper and think about your childhood and how these learned behaviors, these are behaviors that you learned, that your brain used for survival. Like it just all coincides, and the only way you'll get to that point is if you stop distracting yourself. Stop distracting yourself. Stop running away from silence. Stop running away from your own thoughts. Give yourself Wake up 30 minutes earlier in the morning. It's not something you have to do all day. You don't need to meditate all day and no. Just give yourself 30 minutes in the morning. Give yourself 10 minutes before you go to sleep. And just think and sit. If there's one thing that I could recommend, and it's been so helpful for me, is meditating. Meditate for 10 minutes a day. 10 minutes in one day is not going to be a lot, but you do that over a course of a month, 2 months, 3 months, I guarantee you won't be the same person. So yeah, I've been going through a lot. And it's just a bunch of little things, you know. I'm grateful it's not just one big life crisis, you know, it's a whole bunch of little things that over time I feel way down on my little shoulders. So this was a rant. This was just me talking, if you couldn't tell. And I hope there was something in this video that resonated with you. I hope there was something that you feel like, hey, that applies to me. And yeah, I'm excited for the future because hard times don't last. Tough times don't last. All this is a transition. It's a transition period. Things get worse before they get better. Remember that. Things always get worse before they get better. But if you're doing the work, if you're putting in effort, and if you're truly changing, and you'll know if you're truly changing. You'll know if you're just doing it for your ego or you're just doing it to make someone happy. But you'll know if you're truly changing. If you feel like you're truly changing, there's no telling what the future looks like for you. The future for me, just kind of give you a little rundown because this is my channel. I'm gonna continue building my business. I'm gonna continue building my shell as well. I never said to neglect your shell. I'm gonna continue building it. But I'm gonna emphasize more my heart, mind, and soul. I'm gonna emphasize more pouring into relationships. And I'm gonna emphasize leaving. I need to leave my hometown. I need to. And so, we're in May, yeah. January 2027. I made up my mind. I'm leaving. This is gonna be my home for the next 7 months. And then after, it's on to bigger and better things. But these 7 months, no distraction. I don't mean being cut off. I don't mean being isolated from the world. I simply mean no distraction. Really focusing on what's important. Heart, mind, and soul. Thank you for watching. If you saw the whole thing, you're a GOAT. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Peace and love, many blessings.